all of a sudden, Nebraska has some confidence. They've got some momentum. They're playing decent football. Couple of Big Ten Conference wins in a row. But you got to go on the road to maybe the best team in the Big Ten West. If you're new to the channel, great time to subscribe. Big Ten videos every single day. As always, crush the like button. All right, Nebraska, you're feeling good about yourselves. You're feeling confident. You got a couple of Big Ten wins in a row. Pump the brakes. Indiana and Rutgers, two of the worst teams in the Big Ten right now. Look, Nebraska found a way to win, coming back against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights on the road. That's something the Nebraska Cornhuskers haven't done in a very, very long time. So that's something that you got to at least be optimistic about, that you can do that sort of thing. And I think we can tell this defense is playing better. The team as itself is playing with more of an attitude. But, and there's always a but you got to go on the road to face a really good Purdue team right now. Let's talk about the Purdue Boilermakers. This conversation on offense as it pertains to this game, it might stop and start. Start and stop with Charlie Jones. Charlie Jones, best receiver right now in the Big Ten Conference. If you're in Nebraska, who are you going to match up on? You don't have a guy like Jacorian Bennett last week at Maryland where was always in his hip pocket. Charlie Jones only caught 3 receptions in that football game. Michael Hartzog, the true freshman that was attacked constantly until he made a big play late in that Rutgers game. You got Isaac Gifford, Quentin Newsom. I don't know if there's a guy right now in this Nebraska defense that can stay with Charlie Jones the whole game. So what does that mean? It means Nebraska has to shift their defense to try to take away Charlie Jones. But we found out in the Maryland game, even if you do that, I don't think Nebraska can do that. But even if they can, look, there's so many other weapons on this Purdue offense. You look at Payne Durham and what he did last week. You look at TJ Sheffield, Mershawn Rice. You look at all of the guys on this Purdue offense. And you look at earlier. Look, I know Bill Busch has taken over and they've been playing pretty good. Pass-happy offense against Indiana. They did pretty well against them, but there's a lot more weapons on Purdue at the wide receiver disposal. You got a better quarterback at Purdue than you did when you played Indiana. So I look at what I saw earlier this season at Nebraska and just how they gave up gobs of yardage in the middle of the field and big-time passing plays, allowed big plays over the top. And I look at what Purdue has, and I think it's going to be pretty tough. What does Nebraska's game plan have to be defensively to try to slow down what Purdue wants to do offensively? Well, to accomplish that, I think you just got to look back last week. You got to look back at Saturday. Look what Maryland did. Purdue had some shuffling of their offensive line due to injuries at offensive tackle. Maryland took advantage. 5 sacks in that game. Maryland was in the backfield, and I think that Maryland's pass rush kept the Terps in that football game. It made Aiden O'Connell uncomfortable. 3 turnovers in that third quarter for the Purdue Boilermakers. Garrett Nelson, O'Shawn Mathis, Caleb Tanner, this defensive front has to get after. They got to attack the weakness right now that is the Purdue offensive tackles. They've got to attack that and get into the backfield. Their pass rush has been better, I think, since Bill Busch has taken over as defensive coordinator. That's got to be a big thing. Man, you let Aiden O'Connell sit back there and throw against the secondary, it's going to be a long day because you look at what Purdue has at wide receivers, you look at what Nebraska has in the defensive backfield, you just look at those one-on-one type of matchups, Purdue's going to tear them to shreds. Purdue has a big-time advantage at wide receiver compared to Nebraska's defensive backs, where Nebraska can try to neutralize that as up front in your front 7. Your pass rush, if they can get in there, make Aiden O'Connell uncomfortable, I think that is what could keep this game fairly close. Let's talk about Purdue's running game. Purdue has a running game now. That's fun to know. Devin Mockabee really he's running hard. Dylan Downing is right there. This is a good rushing attack right now that adds some balance to Purdue's offense. I think Nebraska has done better in the running game, defending the run. Now, they're still dead last in the Big Ten in rushing defense, and they've played 2 not good rushing attacks in Indiana and Rutgers. Look, there's a lot of things that in these victories over the Hoosiers and the Scarlet Knights that you got to put into perspective. You can't all of a sudden say that you beat these good, maybe great Big Ten teams, because you didn't. You beat teams that aren't very good. Indiana's not very good at running the football. Rutgers isn't very good at moving the football through the air. Look, Rutgers just fired their offensive coordinator. These aren't world beaters that you just beat. Look, it's great to have a couple of wins in a row, but now you got to play a good team. Okay, I think Nebraska can match up pretty well in the running game, especially if they can play on the other side of the line of scrimmage on this offensive line that I already mentioned has had to move some guys around. But man, if Purdue can run the ball, if Mockapee and Downing are running downhill, that might be game over right there, because man, then that really opens things up big time in the passing game, because you got to bring more guys up in the running game, and especially the lack of depth and maybe the lack of skill right now on Nebraska defensively. That's going to be really, really tough for the Huskers to come back from if Purdue is going to run, if they're going to run. But you look back once again at that Maryland blueprint. Maryland defended the run well. Maryland got into the backfield, and you had a one-possession game. That's the blueprint that Nebraska has got to follow to stay in this game and try to win this football game. Let's talk about Casey Thompson for a minute. Casey Thompson's got to protect the ball. Okay, Casey Thompson has thrown 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. Purdue right now, 8 interceptions this season. They're 3rd in the Big Ten in taking the ball away via the interception. So if you're throwing into coverage, ask Taulia Tagovailoa early in that game. If you're throwing into coverage, Purdue has the wherewithal, they have the awareness, they will take the football away. And that's a big thing you got to focus on, because, man, night game, black lids on, it's going to be up and wild in West Lafayette, Indiana. Things could get out of turnovers. Purdue goes down, they score a touchdown right away. What you don't want for Nebraska is for this game to get out of hand. And to prevent that from happening, you got to take care of the football, get into the backfield, and try to hit Aiden O'Connell as much as you can right now. For Purdue, feed off your crowd, force turnovers early, get the running game going. I think that could equal a Purdue Boilermakers victory in this game. I think this game is going to be closer. I think the first half, maybe even the third quarter, it's going to be closer. I just have a hard time seeing Nebraska going, and even though they're playing better right now, this is a team that's improving. I can tell Mikey Joseph has this team trending in the right direction. But I just have a hard time because I really like Purdue right now. I really like the balance that they've achieved in the running game, even though they didn't really have it against Maryland. I like that they can win in a variety of ways. They don't just need to throw it to Charlie Jones all the time. They can throw it to other guys. Their defense can step up and make plays. I think Purdue at home has the advantage in this game. I want to know what you guys think about this one. Husker Nation, can you get the upset and stay at the top of the Big Ten West? Purdue, can they get ranked? Man, I think if they win this football game, you got to think about putting them in the top 25. Okay, I'll just say that. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Comment below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted, and we will see you in the next one.